Funding for the production of Folks is provided in part by the Friends of LPB.
1984, a busy year for those of us associated with Folks. Today we'll be looking back at this leap year as we share with you some of the issues ranging from politics to health care, people including ministers and authors, and features ranging from songs to art to food. Hello everyone, I'm Rob Hinton, and we'll be taking a look back at 1984 today on Folks.
Everybody says folks, just plain old folks. Everybody just people all over the world. Those who live, folks got to give, folks got to care, folks got to share. Our world is small, so very small. What touches one of us, who touches us all? To stay alive, just to survive, folks got to be in harmony. Everybody just folks, just plain old folks, just plain old folks. Everybody just folks, everybody just folks, just plain old folks, just plain old folks. Everybody just folks.
Hello everyone, I'm Rob Hinton.
And I'm Genevieve Stewart, and we'd like to welcome you to this Year's in Review on Folks.
It's been a busy year and we've covered a wide range of issues. And I guess, Genevieve, we should begin by looking back at the presidential race. It was a contest that pitted Democrat Walter Mondale against incumbent Republican Ronald Reagan. But it was the battle for the Democratic presidential nomination that sparked the most interest. One primary reason for that interest was candidate Jesse Jackson. Jackson being the first major black candidate for the Democratic nomination. He captured 565 delegates at the Democrats' National Convention in San Francisco. He delivered a fiery and emotional speech to the convention, an address in which he talked about his struggle for the nomination.
This campaign has taught me much, that leaders must be tough enough to fight, tender enough to cry, human enough to make mistakes, humble enough to admit them, strong enough to absorb the pain, and resilient enough to bounce back and keep on moving.
After the convention, Jackson told the Black Congress on Health Law and Economics that he was moving back to his home state of South Carolina to expand his constituency, better known as the Rainbow Coalition. Jackson also kept true a promise to campaign for the Democratic ticket. Here he is in October on a stop in New Orleans for the Mondale-Ferraro ticket.
He cannot justify 4 years of president and not talk with the heads of the Soviet Union. He cannot justify our boys being killed in Lebanon by night and they never had a chance. And then again and again and again. And then when I asked what happened the last time, he said the kitchen didn't get fixed in time. I tell you, we need a new cook, not just a new kitchen. And I'm here because we can win Louisiana. There are just enough women who want their economic rights, who've been deprived them. We can win Louisiana.
But the Democratic Party was not the only group trying to unseat the president this year. There was the National Black Nurses Association.
We in the National Black Nurses Association need to be supportive of candidates for the presidency and the Congress who will assist in converting these recommendations into legislation and national policy. The major principles of the platform are de-escalation of the nuclear arms race, enforcement of civil rights laws, sanctions against South Africa and its racial policies, and the maintenance of a policy of non-intervention in the affairs of the Caribbean and the Central American nations. That platform further recommends that federally supported programs in the areas of health, nutrition, civil rights, education, and housing be maintained and expanded.
And the National Bar Association was also hoping for a change.
I watched on national television the other morning and I saw the President of the United States, who described, by not making names or mentioning names, two people who were the President and Vice President nominee for the Democratic Party, who were so far left that they have left America. Now, the people of which he spoke, understand something now, the people of which he spoke, one was a former Vice President of the United States, the other, a two-term United States Congresswoman. If he thinks that little of those white Americans, what then does he think about you?
But not all blacks were on the side of the Democrats.
The president has done an excellent job of bringing this country back to a recovery that seems to be more lasting than all the previous recoveries that we've gone through, and we've gone through quite a few of them. You take the elderly in this country. I read a little piece in the paper this morning that was stating that they're much better off in the 80s than they were in the 70s and 60s. That's purely because the dollars that they are receiving are able to go so much further than they were before.
I'm campaigning so hard because I see what Ronald Reagan and his administration has done. It was good for the country, and anything that's good for the country is good for blacks or minorities. This is one of the reasons why I was campaigning so hard across the state in the last month and a quarter. So many people have had negative things for Ronald Reagan. Most of everything that they're saying that Ronald Reagan haven't done has been done by Ronald Reagan. Right now, he has more black women in his administration than the previous administration. I mean, I'm talking a top job. I'm not talking at the lower class job. There's nothing that I can see that the other administration can talk about against Ronald Reagan that is true.
And there was a lot of support among Hispanic Republicans here in Louisiana.
I think that if you recall, in 1980, the president carried Louisiana, I think it was about 80,000 votes, 84,000 votes. This election, I think, is going to be close. You know, whoever the president runs against, either Mondale or Hart, I think there may be a very close race. We hope that by November, we will have enough Hispanics identify and register that it might be a decisive vote to give the president the state of Louisiana and put it in his winning column.
Minorities voted in record numbers, but it was the Republicans who retained control of the White House. In 1983, the NAACP called for a summit of black organizations to deal with problems which the association felt had reached crisis proportions affecting the black family. The NAACP's concerns were shared by the National Urban League, and in May of this year, the two organizations sponsored a Black Family Summit on the campus of Fisk University in Nashville, Tennessee. Some 300 representatives of more than 100 organizations participated in the summit. The representatives spent 3 days developing strategies and programs aimed at strengthening the black family.
It is that the groups who are here, there's a whole universe to be worked on. The organizations are here because some of them, all of them are here because they're interested. Some are here because they've been doing a part of the work. So we hope that they will go back strengthened to do their individual work, that there'll be a network created of ideas, that there'll be a repository for information, and that, for instance, the Urban League, as Mr. Jacob has said, is already involved in certain programmatic activities. Hopefully they'll be strengthened. The NAACP has not been involved too programmatically in matters affecting the black family as such, but we do have a vast network of people with whom we interrelate as members of our organizations and branches, and we hope to give them the information. And we're hoping finally that each organization represented here and every black organization that will be meeting this summer will prepare a place on their program for a discussion of some of the recommendations that will come out of this Black Family Summit.
I call upon you to join with me and Ben and the NAACP and the National Urban League to go forth from this place committed to carrying out the mission, written and unwritten, articulated and inferred, that we have an obligation to improve the lives of black people in America, and we have a responsibility to make that our destiny.
While in Nashville, we decided to take a look at Fisk University, one of the nation's oldest black colleges. Fisk is a university with a rich history, but at the time of our visit, a very uncertain future. In October, we visited the main campus of Louisiana State University in Baton Rouge, where officials have waged a campaign to increase its black student enrollment to reflect what it calls a real-world balance.
I think that your experience here should mirror the real world. I think black people probably comprise anywhere from 18 to 22% of the national population. I think that's realistic. I think the consent decree, while it does establish some very, very demanding and challenging goals or projections, probably isn't too far off in that they would like to see our enrollment of black students as first-time students in 1988 at 18%. It's not easy for us, but we're going to keep trying to reach that goal. And so I think a viable, realistic percentage of black students at LSU would be about 18 or so percent. But again, it should try to mirror the real world.
And in September, we talked to a group of senior citizens who are concerned about the rising costs of health care and have put together a campaign aimed at getting hospitals and doctors to cut the costs but keep the care.
The campaign has 5 basic goals. First, we hope to reduce the rate of cost escalation in health care, to save and strengthen the Medicare and Medicaid programs, to promote the development of alternate health care delivery systems, to encourage all Americans to adopt and practice a more healthy lifestyle, and to increase the availability of consumer information on health.
We also spent a lot of time this year talking to a variety of people who shared with us their varying views on a wide variety of topics. In January, we talked to Reverend T.J. Jemison, president of the National Baptist Convention, about his association with the late Dr. Martin Luther King, Jr. Him and Dr. King were co-founders of the Southern Christian Leadership Organization in 1956. At that time, did you realize that you were making history?
Well, I thought we were making history, but I did not know the proportion that this history-making event in New Orleans would have on the total civil rights movement in the United States. I did not see at first the unraveling of, the unraveling of a new way of life, so to speak. And Dr. King was that catalyst that served not only to inspire us as fellow ministers and comrades in the Christian ministry, but it served to give personal dignity and aspirations and inspiration to black people all over the United States, and even as far away as Monrovia, Liberia, where we had people to come and inquire about our Christian movement. And Dr. King was that catalyst, and he served as the inspiration.
In October, we featured an exclusive interview with world-renowned author Alex Haley of Roots fame. Has your family traditionally lifted newborn babies towards the stars and related the family genealogy, or was this merely artistic license?
The last time I know it literally happened was my grandfather lifted me. It was a symbol within the family, and it was told always in the stories about how they did it back then. But no, we don't do it now. I know a number of people who have done that, and it's a lovely symbol. But the lifting, in practical things, I think the lifting of a child really is what you do for that child after it's, as it's going along. That's how you lift it, really. That symbol is fine, but the one that counts is what you do day to day with them.
On several occasions this year, we visited the Louisiana World's Fair in New Orleans. We focused a lot of attention on the I've Known Rivers Afro-American Pavilion. From fundraising and development with Sybil Moriel,
the I've Known Rivers Afro-American Pavilion's prime purpose is to present to the public our beautiful and rich heritage. Much of what is our history has been either neglected or misinterpreted. And this is an opportunity to present to a world forum what we are, why we are what we are, and maybe where we're going.
To design with artist John Scott.
This idea is the culmination of a lot of conversations with a lot of people over a long period of time. But I think the thing that germinated the idea in the beginning is the fact that in the southern region of the United States, there's not one cultural center that is controlled and is about black people. And the need for a place like that to pass on the traditions that we have and to enrich the lives of young black people was something sorely needed, and that's where the idea came from.
To execution.
We scaled a lot of the idea down in many ways. We don't think we scaled quality down at all. We did scale down some of the ideas because of just the amount of information, the amount of financing it takes to do it, and that. But we really and truly believe that we have a totally unique experience here. And to my knowledge, the first time it's really been done in a World Fair setting that there is an Afro-American pavilion. You know, I think if you walk through the whole fair in terms of space, architecture, design, I don't think we have to be humble anybody.
Another outstanding person we talked to this year was Dr. Asa Hilyard from Georgia State University, an authority on African American history.
Do you think that there is an apathy among blacks to learn more about their history?
Well, I think that the opportunities are not presented. When they're presented, there's a hunger. It's almost the opposite. There's a real hunger among black people to know these things. But 12 years of public school, nothing. 12 years of those same years in movies and on television, nothing. And frequently, even in our own institutions, we're so overburdened with our other priorities that we don't take the opportunity to teach the things that they need to know. So I found that wherever the information is provided, there's just an enthusiastic response to that from black people. And it's to the extent that apathy exists, it's mainly an apathy of the absence of information.
In September, we talked to Sybil Taylor, the highest-ranking woman in the Louisiana AFL-CIO.
Some detractors would say that you were a black woman in the right place at the right time to receive a token appointment with the AFL-CIO. Would such a statement hurt you, make you angry, or merely amuse you?
It would not hurt or amuse or make me angry, because to an extent they're absolutely right. I was a post-war baby and I came up during the civil rights era. That's how I got into AT&T, you know, because of 1965 legislation. And to that extent, I do feel I'm lucky, because I'm lucky to have been born, you know, in that period of time. But I tell everyone, I was lucky enough to get there. I'm smart enough to stay there, and that's why I'm here.
Has the labor movement outlived its usefulness?
In my opinion, no. I'm going to tell you why. As long as we're in a capitalistic society, you understand that profit is the motive in capitalism. Not only profit, but maximum profit. And when that occurs, you understand that business owners will exploit me and you and everyone. And when workers feel that exploitation, they will immediately try to organize and to come together in order to secure some of the profits or benefits that they have, in essence, created. And as long as that exists, there will always be a need for unions.
And then there were the politicians, like Dr. Sandra Robinson, the first woman and the first black to head up the state's largest agency, the Department of Health and Human Resources.
Is being the first woman and the first black to hold this position a problem?
I don't think so. I think that that I have had multiple experiences, both on a clinical basis and also on an administrative basis. I think that I know what the department is about. I've been a consumer in Louisiana, I've been a provider, and I've been an administrator. And I think those are the tools that you should bring to a job like this. You should have been in all situations. You should have been in situations where you needed to use services in the Department of Health and Human Resources. But also, I think it helps very much that I've been a provider of services and a helper in terms of others getting through red tape and bureaucratic situations that require them to need DHHR. But also I've been an administrator that has worked in state government in other areas, in Charity Hospital. I've also worked in private hospitals and situations that also have relationships with DHHR. So I think in view of that, that is the type of person that's required. I think being female and being black only helped because I've been a minority person that has had to work through the system.
And State Representative Joe Delpit of Baton Rouge, who this year was elected Speaker Pro Tem of the House. What's the greatest challenge you've ever faced?
Well, the greatest challenge that I guess I've ever faced is the confidence that people seem to put in me. And I find it challenging to attempt to meet their expectations. And I found even with my friends who pushed me to run for office, I wondered why. I didn't have the confidence that they had at first. And I wondered why, why me? And I find it very challenging once people entrust me with certain kinds of objectives and things and goals that we should reach. I find it's not just for me, it's for a lot of people. And it's challenging for me to succeed in them, for all of us.
But our shows weren't all serious. There was also a great deal of fun. For example, we took you to the first annual state games for senior citizens. And we shared with you works of art from several art exhibitions, like these works from the Harlem Renaissance, and these pieces by the Plains Indians. And we featured drama, like this original play presented at Loyola University in New Orleans entitled Black Medea.
What do you see? What do you see? I will tell you.
Basin of blood. I'm crossing the ocean. Oh, do you see the shore? I am crossing the ocean. Oh, do you see the shore? I do not die. I will tell you everything. And you tell me why a man will hear a God call and then choke on the answer. Dombala. Then you tell me why a man will brave the darkness and then flee the light. Dombala.
Music was never lacking on folks this year. We got a sneak preview of an oratorio in honor of Martin Luther King Jr., written and composed by Valerian Smith of Baton Rouge.
Please
please forgive them for the things they do. When they hurt me, they suffer too. For they know not, for they know not, for they know not what they do.
And we visited the Southwest Louisiana Zydeco Festival in Plaisance, Louisiana, where we had a chance to hear Grammy Award winner Clifton Chenier. Well, Genevieve, I'm exhausted just by looking at all of that. Do you think we can get psyched up for 1985?
Let's hope so.
We shall see. You have a happy new year.
And the same to you, Rob.
And a safe and prosperous new year to all of you. We'll see you next year. Bye-bye.
Funding for the production of Folks is provided in part by the Friends of LPB.